I always enjoy a double holiday because today is Father's Day and a very happy Father's Day to all the dads out there that are watching. And it is also, let me check my calendar here. It's a sweep Smiths because the Seattle Mariners finish off the sweep of the Texas Rangers. Let's go. What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back and welcome into the Seattle Mariners post game recap. The Mariners defeat the Rangers 5-0. They improved to 43 and 31 on the year. They have an 8.5 game lead in the American League West. As always, before I go any further, do me a favor, smash that like button. I cannot thank you guys enough for all the likes and views on these videos. It just blows my mind. And even people commenting like, "Oh, I can't wait for the post game." It truly does like just mean a lot to me. It really does that people are that excited to watch me talk about baseball or want to hear my takes on it. And like I said, I try and stay humble about it because I don't know any more than a lot of you do. In fact, there's probably a lot of you that know more about baseball than I do. But I just love talking about it. And this has been such a fun season so far. So thank you guys so much. Hit that like button. If you're new or lurking, hit subscribe. Closing the gap on getting to 4,000 subs. Would love to get there maybe by the end of July. Something around that time I think would be doable. And comment your thoughts on the game down below. 8.5 games up. Just incredible. Incredible. And not only are the Mariners 8.5 games up, they have the tiebreaker over Houston and Texas right now. Houston's 9 games back. Texas is 8.5. And they still have games to go against these teams, but they only play Texas 6 more times. The Mariners are 5-1 against Texas. If they don't lose out against the Rangers, they will have the tiebreaker. They're 5-2 against Houston. Houston could sweep them. That's still possible. They could lose that tiebreaker. But not only do they have this big lead, these teams don't just need to tie the Mariners. Right now, they got to pass the Mariners. I mean, just an incredible, incredible start to this season. Not even start. We're going to be at the halfway point in about a week. We will be like 2 games away from the halfway point after this three in Cleveland and three in Miami. No, one away. We'll be next Sunday at this time, we'll be 1 game away from the halfway point. This is not just a little April surge where the team's gotten off to just a red hot start. And, it happens where even sometimes bad teams do that. They get off to a hot start, then they drop off. We are legitimately into the season now. We're firmly in the dog days of summer, and the Mariners have the largest division lead in all of baseball. Just absolutely incredible. And listen, some of that has to do with the injuries that Houston and Texas has faced. I get it. People have told me that. I've got people that DM me and listen, most people that message me are super positive. And again, I don't care if you want to be critical of the team, but man, I get some messages from people that are just like, well, it's only because Houston and Texas have been injured. Okay. I don't care. I don't root for injuries. I'm not saying I don't care in terms of players' health. I don't want to see anybody hurt or injured or missing time. That always stinks. Baseball is a great sport. And I want its best players healthy. But guys, sometimes and gals, sometimes that's how you win. Like one of the keys to a good season is staying healthy and keeping your guys going and taking advantage when other teams miss guys. Now, I think that's the case for most teams. Now, I don't think like if the Rockies were fully healthy, I don't know if they are or not, they'd make a run. But the Mariners coming into this year were a team that was good enough. They only lost the division by a couple games last year. It's like this team was 15 games out. And maybe you get a little bit of the benefit of some injury luck and some other teams go banged up, and you can take advantage of that. That's part of the game. That shouldn't be a knock on the Mariners. It's not. I get it. Like, and Texas is getting some guys back, Josh Young and Max Scherzer. Houston's rotation has just been shredded, unfortunately, for them. And they'll get Kyle Tucker back and everything. And sure, that's going to help those teams. They can go on runs, but that's not the fault of the Mariners. The Mariners are doing what they need to do. They're taking advantage of that. They're winning games, and they're beating these teams while they're a little bit banged up. And, I also have had people tell, I'm not trying to like pick on anybody here. And again, I honestly don't think it was anybody on YouTube. It was more on other avenues and emails and stuff, or just people I hang out with too in general sometimes. But, well, Texas Jay last year had a big lead and ended up blowing it. So this lead is not 100% safe. Of course not, right? Like nothing is. And there's no guarantee the Mariners win this division. They still got to go out and play good ball and take care of business. 100% agree with that. But also, Texas is not a great example of that. Because, yes, Texas did kind of blow a big division lead last year. But guess what? One, they had that big lead, which allowed them to have some struggles in the middle of the year and towards the last third and still be in great position. Guys, the Mariners are going to have stretches where they don't play good baseball. They're not just going to roll in and lose 31 games all year. They're going to have a 15 game stretch where they probably go 5 and 10, 4 and 11. I hope not. Maybe not. Like, I don't know, but more than likely it's going to happen. Every team goes through stretches where they're just not dialed in and locked in. It will happen. But that's why that 8.5 game lead is so important. You can go through a stretch like that and still come out of it 5, 6 games ahead. Texas did struggle last year towards the second half, but they built up enough wins early, just as the Mariners had not. That was one of our frustrations with the Mariners last year. They'd done a little bit more in April, May, and June. They could have survived their September, but unfortunately, they dug such a hole that they like essentially sprinted back to the front and then ran out of energy. The Rangers slowed down a little bit, but they still had some energy to finish the race, and they got in the playoffs and won the World Series. So if you want to come at me with like, oh, the Rangers are a reason why you shouldn't get too excited about the Mariners lead, the defending World Series champs, like I will take it. I don't care. The Mariners can win the division by 1 game. It doesn't matter to me how they get it done. Just do it. And they've built up. They're the big stack at the poker table. They've got the chips. They can afford to lose a couple hands and still be in good shape. Like I said, it will happen. They're going to go through a stretch. It's 162. There's highs and lows. You just hope that the highs outweigh the lows, and the Mariners have managed to do that so far for the most part. So, listen, I just can't sit here and not be super excited that this team has an 8.5 game lead. Just absolutely, absolutely amazing, and just so much fun to watch right now. And man, how about Logan Gilbert today? In the first couple months of the season, I was, making these Cy Gilbert. That was kind of my, um, oh gosh, title for the videos. Why couldn't I think of that word? Oh, also, real quick, wanted to apologize. Um, I thought about doing a live stream today, just with Father's Day and everything. Too much family stuff going on, so I will do a live stream this week for a post game. I do want to do that because I really love interacting with all of you and hearing your thoughts. And it's great too because you guys come up with ideas that I'm just able to kind of bounce off and go, "Oh, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that," and stuff like that. So I will definitely one of the post games this week will be a live stream. I'll post it a day ahead so that everybody knows to kind of be ready for it. But I told someone in the comments I might do it today. I do apologize. I had forgotten today was Father's Day, so as a dad, I got some family stuff I got to do. So, but appreciate all the support always. Um, where was I going with that? Oh, Logan Gilbert. That was a Cy Young performance today from Logan Gilbert. 8 shutout innings, dominant, and just a foot on the throat of the Rangers today for this team. And this is something the team has struggled with a little bit is finishing off these sweeps. I will never complain about a series win. Had they lost today, I'd still be very optimistic for what they just did in this 3 game set. But man, to finish off that sweep, just amazing. And you got the dominant pitching. I thought the offense had a pretty solid series. Thought they did pretty well against Andrew Haney. Urena really slowed them down on Friday out of the bullpen. They did a nice job against Evaldi. They added on against the Rangers bullpen yesterday. And while there were some moments where they were stymied by Dane Dunning, they ended up doing enough. And then again, added on a couple runs against the Rangers bullpen. So, I mean, a positive series from the starting pitching. Castillo was amazing. Kirby was amazing. Gilbert was amazing. Honestly, the bullpen was lights out outside of Bizardo. Everybody else did their job. I mean, this was a complete series win. Friday was close, and yes, yesterday ended up being close. But for the most part, not only did the Mariners sweep the Rangers, they kind of dominated the Rangers in this series. I'm sorry, it's true. Like we can talk about the White Sox series where great that they won 3 out of 4, but they kind of played the White Sox even for 4 games, right? Like now I'm super happy they won 3 out of 4 there, but they kind of did. They did not play Texas even for 3 games. Like I said, I know yesterday ended up being close, so I probably shouldn't say they dominated, but for the most part, it felt like the Mariners were the better team, if you know what I mean. Watching that series, Seattle looked like the better baseball team. Against the White Sox, it kind of looked like a pretty evenly matched series that the Mariners pulled out. And that's fine. You're not going to blow out every game against every team. The White Sox threw some good pitchers at you, but they looked the part against the Rangers. And a fantastic decision to push back the starters for this series. Not only do you get them an extra day's rest, and I think that allowed Logan to go 8 innings today. You just line up your best three in the most important in what was the most important series up to now. There'll be another very important series at some point. Truthfully, they're all going to be important, but you know what I mean. Because here's the thing, like you won the first 3 against Chicago. Had you maybe won one of those or lost 3, then maybe yeah, I'm sending Castillo out there to get a win. But you send Emerson Hancock out there. He did his job in that game against Chicago. Only allowed the 2 earned runs, and you almost ended up winning it. Julio homers in the ninth. You just couldn't pull it out. And then you got your big three going with extra rest against Texas. So, and now you got another day off tomorrow, a well-earned day off for the Seattle Mariners, and a chance to get a little bit more rest for guys in the bullpen, and for the starting pitching as well. You're going to get Brian Wu back in Cleveland. He'll pitch on Tuesday. It'll be Miller, Wu, Castillo. So everything just lined up perfectly for the Mariners, and I loved that decision to get your big three lineup for Texas, and it absolutely paid off 100%. And again, it's another advantage of being the big stack at the poker table. The Mariners can move things around. They were in a position, and again, I'm not saying it was a punt game against Chicago. They probably still should have won that last game. But you're able to play. I'm on a poker kick today for some reason. You have the big stack at the poker table. You're playing some hold'em. You can play a couple weird hands, a 2-7 offsuit. So you know what? I'm just going to pay the ante, the blinds, and I'll play the hand. Kind of what the Mariners are able to do. Texas couldn't do that. They couldn't go into Dodger Stadium and try and line up their series for the Mariners because they're chasing. They have to get the wins. The Mariners were able to go, listen, we won the first three. Emerson Hancock should be able to shut down the White Sox lineup, and let's see what happens and push our big three back. Big stack barks at the poker table. The Mariners are the big stack right now and able to bark and move guys around a little bit. That's not trying to be arrogant or cocky about just how it's lining up so far this year. It's just how it's playing out. And advantage Mariners when you're able to do those things. So, man, just so pumped up about this season and this series. I don't know if I have any more anecdotes to talk about before I actually dive into the box score, but just rest. How about this drop off for the Rangers offense? I know they're Jonah Heim wasn't in this series. Josh Young is out. I know they're missing some guys. Evan Carter's on the injured list as well. But man, outside of Seager and Simeon, it's been rough. Garcia's been awful this year. Nathaniel Lowe, I know he's been hurt off and on, but he has not been very good this year. As much as we get on the Mariners offense, the Mariners have a better WRC plus than the Rangers. So, all this talk about the Rangers offense, Mariners have been swinging the bats better than they have, and it's probably going to go up even more. Mariners entered today with a 97 WRC plus. I think the Rangers were at 92. Mariners are probably going to be close to about 100, which is league average. And that's again, while I will say, I don't think this team they shouldn't add bats because they're not that close. I disagree. I think their offense is close. I think an impact bat in the middle of the lineup absolutely is what this team needs. It, and I get it. I'm repeating myself again, but when you do videos every day, you're going to do this. Do I think there's a high asking price for Luis Robert that I would say no for? Of course, of course. There's some great young players in this farm system I don't want to lose. But I also see a team that has an opportunity to do something really, really special. And you've got in order to compete with the Yankees and Baltimore, probably the two top teams in the AL, I think you're going to have to add another bat to this lineup. And if it can help nothing guarantees a World Series, obviously, but if it can help put you over the top, I'm willing to sell some prospects. You have a good farm system for two reasons: to rebuild your major league roster and to acquire potential players to put you over the top. The Rangers traded Cole Reagans for Adolis Garcia for Aroldis Chapman. Now, I don't actually really know how Chapman did in the postseason, to be honest, but the Rangers won the World Series. Not too many Rangers. I mean, I think that was a bad trade, but I'm willing to make some trades that go, ooh, long term, if the Mariners hold up the World Series trophy this year. I can stomach, in a few years, a prospect kicking our butt a little bit. It would stink. And again, I don't want that to happen. But man, if like Luis Robert puts you over the top for a World Series potentially, uh, so be it. That's the goal. The goal is to win a World Series, not to just hoard prospects. And I'm going off the rails a little bit with this. I'm not just a trade prospects no matter what type of guy. I love this farm system. I don't want it gutted for no reason or for to overpay for things. But man, if the price is right, make the move. Make the move. And I think they will. I think they will. I don't know if it's gonna be Luis Robert, just using him as an example. But I think they will. And it sounds like Gregory Santos is getting closer. There's your bullpen addition. We talk about adding an arm. And again, thanks to the big lead in the division, the Mariners haven't had to get too desperate and trade for a reliever. If they were a game or two or three games back, I think they would have made a move. I think you would have seen a reliever acquired. And it probably would have been a bit of an overpay. But right now, they don't have to. They can kind of sit back and go, let's see where Santos is before we make a move. All right, I'm going to get to the box score. I'm just excited. So if I'm a little all over the place, forgive me, but I'm just pumped up about this win, and I want to see this team succeed. I mean, they are succeeding. I want to see them keep this going. I want their foot on the gas. I want this team to acquire players and win this division and be a legit World Series contender going into the playoffs where we feel this team can get to a World Series. I want that. Make it happen. All right, let's get into the box score here. As I pulled up, Logan Gilbert, I mean, just dominant. 8 innings, 2 hits, 9 Ks, no walks. Lowe had the double, and then it was Kinzer who had a base hit. Only 2 hits. Logan Gilbert gave up. Just a dominant, dominant performance. 101 pitches, 72 strikes. I mean, I just a tremendous outing from Logan Gilbert. Probably his best outing all year. His ERA is under 3. He gets a well-earned W. It had been a month and a half since Logan Gilbert had won a game. Not his fault, obviously, but good to see Logan back in the W column. Could have let him go 9, maybe, but I think with a 5-0 game at 101, they made the right move. You get Andres Munoz another day off by scoring those couple runs in the ninth inning. You don't go to Bizardo, you go to Austin Voth, who locks it down with a shutout ninth inning. So you give Stanek a day off, Munoz a day off, and then they all have a day off tomorrow. So you are all hands on deck, ready to go in Cleveland. So a tremendous, tremendous pitch game. Pretty good day for the offense overall. 6 hits, 5 runs, 4 walks. They do strike out 12 times. Again, I don't worry about the strikeouts when you're scoring runs. It's frustrating when they're not scoring and striking out a ton. I can live with the strikeouts when you're putting up some good at bats, working some walks, getting some hits, and scoring runs. Little frustrating moments at times against Dane Dunning. And yes, I would like to see them K less than 8 times and 4 2/3 against Dane Dunning. But Dunning actually does have his strikeout on Savant percentile is above average. So is his whiff rate. So he does have some swing and miss. It's not like lights out amazing, but I think they're both in like the 70th percentile. So he is above average at that, and he keeps the ball on the ground. And Goldsmith mentioned in the broadcast, he also has great extension. So that fastball at 92 may not, look fast, but with that extension, it probably feels like 94, 95. The issue is Dunning just gets hit hard. So he's got some swing and miss, but he also gives up a lot of hard contact. Kind of what happened today a little bit. Maybe not as much hard contact as you like. The Mariners struck out, worked some walks, and got some hits off them, and were able to chase him before going 5 innings. Josh Rojas had an amazing at bat, 14 pitches in the first inning, and it forced Dunning to throw 33 pitches in the first, which Goldsmith and Blowers were right on the broadcast. That at bat by Rojas took away an inning off Dane Dunning, so a little bit more pressure on him, trying to throw more strikes, left some in the zone. Mariners make him pay. Let's see. JP was 0 for 4. Tough homestand for JP Crawford. I will say he did have some lineouts that he stung this series, or excuse me, this homestand. Probably could have had a few more hits, probably a little bad luck, but a lot more swing and miss from JP. I'm not worried at all. Just a tough homestand. Did see some good contact. He's still working the counts. So it's not like he's necessarily having terrible at bats, just a little too much swing and miss. But that might be like the one negative of this homestand. Josh Rojas was 1 for 4 with a double. Then he scored on that crazy wild pitch, which bounced away from the catcher. Rojas scores from second. He kind of hesitated a couple times. If he didn't, he would have been safe by a mile. Ended up being a close play, but Rojas still safe. When you're going right, you get those breaks. Or is it you get those breaks and that means you're going right? I always think it's kind of more the opposite, but still really cool to see. And even though only 1 hit from Rojas, that 14 pitch at bat, you could almost put as a positive, a big positive as well for him. So nice game from Rojas. Julio 1 for 3, base hit and a walk. It was an infield hit, but Julio's got speed. When you got good speed, you can get infield hits. So again, kind of quietly, but good to see Julio on base twice. Cal was 0 for 3 with a walk. Mitch Haniger 1 for 3 with a double. Kind of had a frustrating at bat in the first inning. Just got underneath a bit of a hanging changeup from Dunning and popped it out, but does get the double in the third or the fourth. In the fourth, and then he scored on Luke Rayleigh's RBI double. Um, so good to see. I think once you get everybody healthy, I do think Mitch Haniger can contribute. I just think he needs, more days off. And they're starting to give that to him. He's starting to get that. And getting Polanco back will help with that because Dylan Moore can kind of rotate around in the outfield as well. So I do think Mitch Haniger, if he stays healthy, gets some days off here and there, can be a contributor for this team. And you know Mitch Haniger's a great clubhouse guy as well. So I don't want Haniger off the roster or anything because I think he does provide some good veteran leadership. I just think maybe move him down a little bit in the order. Not a lot of guys swing the bat amazing either, but and then just kind of limit the at bats when you can. And I do think Haniger can contribute. Actually, didn't have a terrible homestand. Had a great game Monday against the White Sox. He had the walk off winner. Gets a double day, and good to see the extra base hit and slugging a little bit there from Mitch as well. Bliss pinch ran for him, stole a base, and scored a run. Awesome. Good to see that from Ryan Bliss. If this team does get in the postseason, Bliss is a guy might want to have up on the roster for that reason to kind of be that pinch runner for them. Luke Rayleigh, 1 for 3 with an RBI double and a walk. Luke on base twice. Nice game from Dom Canzone. Had an RBI single in the eighth, which made it 4-0, and worked a walk as well. Had a nice catch at the outfield in the first inning. Canzone up to a 722 OPS. Yeah, not world beating, but solid. It's been solid. So, and starting to get some clutch base hits. Just need these guys to keep producing like that. Again, yes, there's deadline acquisitions you can make, but I will always say the guys on the roster producing is more important because this is what you have right now. We don't know all of what's going to be available and who you can get at the deadline. So Canzone kind of quietly had a really nice homestand, I thought, as well. Tyler Locklear 1 for 4 with a bomb home run, his second. And man, no, it was that home run was super impressive. How about the defense for Tyler Locklear? We saw the play yesterday to take that hit away from Corey Seager, which may have tied the game up. And then today in the ninth inning, makes the play on Kinzer's grounder, which had that weird body English on it. Perry Hill talked about in the postgame how tough it is when the ball knuckles like that. And what a play by Locklear. I have been really, really impressed with his defense and his bat. He's had some tough ABs. His first couple weeks in the bigs, it's going to happen. The power is legit. Um, he looks the part. He's a big dude. Can swing the bat well. He's made some good contact, and he's hit his home runs off Garrett Crochet. Jose Leclerc's not a bad reliever. At least, I don't know about this year. I don't know his numbers all that well, but in the past, he's certainly been solid. So, been really impressed with Tyler Locklear. I do think when Ty France is back, you send him down. I would love to keep him on the roster, but I just don't know what you do with him. And Ty France was red hot when he got hurt. You've got to put France back in the lineup. You need to at least at the very least to ride out that hot streak to see if he's still got that in there. Because Ty was pretty dialed in. And while Locklear's had some good at bats, he's also had some really rough at bats too. Love it. I love what I've seen from Locklear. I'm not taking away, but I'd send him back down, keep getting him those reps in Tacoma, and you've got a guy that can come up and be an impact for you if you need it. But I would love to keep him on the roster when France comes back. I just don't know what you do. Where do you put him? Do you DH him? Garver's been swinging the bat better. And listen, Garver, France are the proven major league players. They should get those at bats until we're 100% confident. You can always bring Locklear back up. You can always bring him back up. So we'll see when Ty France is ready. There was some talk about maybe for Cleveland, but man, Locklear certainly held his own in Ty France's absence. Really impressed. Dylan Moore, 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. I love Dylan Moore. Great utility guy. Well, I'm ready for Jorge Polanco to come back because Dylan Moore, man, he held down the fort for JP for a few weeks and did a great job. He can run into one occasionally, does his job, a solid role player, but I'm ready for Dylan Moore to be back in sort of that roving, playing a little bit of everywhere because he's just been scuffling. And it's not even like, I don't remember the real last hard contact Demo made. It's been a lot of strikeouts. So listen, right now there's not much they can do. Ryan Bliss hasn't been amazing either. Again, some hard hits, but a lot of swing and miss. Right now, your options are Bliss or Dylan Moore. Urias isn't on the 40 man, so it's going to be hard to make a move to bring him up. It's just going to be until Polanco's back. And he started his rehab assignment yesterday. So hopefully, maybe after this road trip, next homestand, Polanco's back. Now, again, Polanco wasn't killing it either, but Polanco's been a solid major league everyday player. And again, I've said in the past couple of videos, I'm not giving up on him yet. I want to see another round for Jorge Polanco. Maybe the time off healed some of those injuries. He can get back and really, really contribute to this team. Love Dylan Moore, but it's time to return to the utility role, essentially, and mainly play against lefties for sure. So just a great series. Pitching dominated. Your big three did what you needed them to do. All big game pitchers had stepped up. And guys, this is why the Mariners do have a chance in the playoffs. I know the Rangers are not playing good ball. And if the playoffs began tomorrow, you're going to face teams that are much better, at least at the moment, than Texas. But Logan, George, and Castillo can shut down any lineup. That's why I don't get that this team doesn't have a chance in the playoffs. They do. You've got maybe the best top three in baseball. And in a short series, those guys are going to pitch more. You maybe use four starters. So maybe Bryce Miller, Brian Wu, who are also great. I trust the big three a little bit more, just more established. But you're going to roll right back over to those guys after that. So, yeah, I do think the Mariners have a chance. I get that their offense hasn't been great, but it's also not as bad as I think some people think it is. I think it's about a league average offense, which means you can run into a couple home runs. Julio hits one out. Mitch Garver hits one out. The dumper hits one out. 3-0. Castillo, Kirby, and Gilbert dominate. I'm not saying this offense is going to put up 20 runs in the postseason. Nobody is. Of course, in the postseason, you're going to play better pitchers, better starting pitchers. That's why those teams are in the postseason. But I do think the offense can do enough. I'm not, and again, this isn't me claiming that, like, oh, Mariners would beat the Yankees easily. No, I would favor the Yankees. Like, again, if you take off my Mariners hat and just put on a generic MLB hat, yeah, I think the Yankees would be favored. So would Baltimore. And it would probably, it would gut me. But yeah, I'd probably favor those teams. But this notion that the Mariners couldn't do it, I just don't think is true. So great series, fired up. I got to get out to T-Mobile this year. I'm trying. Just so you guys know, I'm absolutely trying my best to get to Seattle for a couple games because man, the energy is off the hook at the ballpark right now. I don't know if I mentioned it because I had to stop the video and record it again. But think about becoming a channel member. Shout out to my members. Let's give them a shout out right now. Actually, while I'm here thinking about it, let me get into my channel members. I will have a members only live stream this week. I'm not sure what day I will post it. There will be a contest giveaway. Mark, I am going to get your shirt out to you. Should be there next week for you for winning the last contest. We have a lot of fun. We hang out. We talk ball for a couple hours, and it's kind of more personal one-on-one. So you can, if you have questions, it's easier for me to answer them because we're just in that atmosphere. So think about becoming a channel member. Shout out to my channel members, the man, the myth, the legend, Gunny Studios, Mr. Moses, William Cook, Trevor Hiddle, my man DW, Y2K, Mark Squire, the last contest winner, George Clement, the man, the myth, the legend, Honda Civic, and Kevin Kirby. Thank you all so much. Really, really appreciate your support. I appreciate everybody's support for my channel. Thank you all so much. Let's go. 8.5 game lead. I mean, how would you not have signed up for that before the season on June 16th? You couldn't. You would absolutely sign up for it. Listen, again, they have flaws, but man, there's very little to be upset about right now with this team. I'm going to get out of here. Happy Father's Day, dads. Go Mariners. Tridents way up in the chat.